All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 3 o'clock. Everyone is here. Scott Davis is representing Webster Groves. So we have all members in attendance. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from February 18th?
So moved.
Agenda.
Second. I apologize, the agenda, but you still. So,
Yes.
Amber has moved, Amy has seconded. Any comments, discussions about the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Now we will do the minutes.
Motion to approve the December 17, 2025 minutes.
And so we've been moved and seconded. Any comments about the minutes? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Brad, we're going to recognize some dispatchers.
Yes, ma'am. Jason was supposed to be coming over to kind of represent the group. We have got caught up on a call.
Is that him on the?
Oh, no, that's, I'll explain to that.
Okay.
So Cindy, on the 23rd of December, received a call in Richmond Heights for a cancer patient that had gone into cardiac arrest, but she was not at DNR. So, the teenage daughter initially called and the husband took over, talked him through CPR, and the mother was eventually revived and transported to the hospital. The second one is recognizing Jacob, Amber, Jason, and Cindy on the 23rd of January. A shift took the call involving the pursuit that ended with a head-on collision on 175. The situation was extremely chaotic with serious injuries to the officers and fatalities involving the suspects. Despite the intensity and complexity of the circumstances, everyone remained focused, disciplined, and committed to their responsibility. So,
Great. Yes.
And I had one. So call that resident, David Workman. This is going back, we've already recognized the dispatchers. He had a severe heart attack, or what they call millimeters.
At Stacy Park?
this was in the park, it was months ago. He was one writing the book.
He wrote the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
He actually dropped one off to one of our dispatchers.
Oh.
And been very thankful and
Yeah.
wanted to, on behalf of East Central, thank you or all of their residents.
I will say you're welcome.
But it
On
was,
his behalf.
it was really cool to have him drop that book.
Yeah. All right, Mission Critical Partners.
So we, sorry for all the back and forth, but we finally worked out the day where everybody gets together. And that's the 10th of March, 1 to 3. And I guess we'll just do it in here. He'll be presenting in person. And then I've also talked to him. He hasn't gotten back with me yet because he needs to coordinate with a few people on just doing one, not super long meeting, but one meeting of talking about all three of the other assessments. The staffing study, the alternate pricing guide, and the AI stuff. That we'll just do as one Google Meet. That we don't have to get together 3 months or try to coordinate together. Kurt and I have actually been talking with another AI company called Prepared AI. It's a division of Axon that actually has a better pricing solution. And
You missed it.
Exponentially more. There's Jason.
I think
We
we should
just
go
did
around
round.
the block.
Hey, go back in.
Okay, good job.
Good job.
Sorry about that. I got kind of tied up.
That's okay.
No, that's all right. You understood.
Thank you.
So anyway, this is, and we'll talk more about this when I pull up the budget, the actual first iteration of the budget. I started much earlier this year than last year. But this other company, in addition to the AI called Triage, what they also offer is transcription and translation, basically taking the clerical duties off of the dispatcher's shoulders so they can focus more on just being a emergency dispatcher. But it can do call notes. It can do 100% QA versus the 5 to 10% that we manually do now. And so, and it's they actually came out, did a really awesome pitch for us. But we'll talk more about that when I get into the budget numbers. So as far as the Intera goes, I have, again, it's just slow. It's super slow. I think Intera's motivated. I know Central County is motivated. I know Regis is motivated. Motorola's not motivated. And this will change so many things if we can actually get P1 and Central Square to talk, and when we can actually see them and they can see us. So more on that. I know Jeff Fitter, the new COO over at Regis, is driving the bus and trying to get this done. It's just not fast. So I think they've had to agree. The last thing that was supposed to happen, and Terra was supposed to give an API to Motorola, and we could not confirm before this meeting what happened.
Okay, before you move on, any questions?
Would you say there's been progress since, was it last fall, all the meetings, and there's been progress? And everybody's happy with the progress?
I'm extremely frustrated, irritated. And I've even had the Motorola people try to tell me, Motorola moves slowly. I'm like, I know. I gave them, we want to see something by 1 July. And they're like, yeah. And so it's
been baby steps, but we are moving.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
Keep pushing.
We will.
I have a conference for Motorola in April. That's the top thing on my list to do.
When I sent out the agenda, I sent out my updated policy 2.3 on the leave balance. I sat down with both finance and HR so they could put their comments in there. The thing that I wanted to ask about now, since we shut off any more LTE hours being accrued, we still have this one, and after we made everyone whole, we still have this 1,591.24 hours that finance just kind of has bubbled off right now. And we could do 3 things with it. We could make them go away. We could add them to the lead bank that I put in the new policy. Or we can do kind of a hybrid and say, let's just put 500 in there and delete the others, or something to that effect.
Thoughts?
And Brad, just to refresh everybody on this, how is the 1,591 hours shown on the books for ECDC from an accounting standpoint? Were you able to determine that? I know you had questions about it at the last meeting.
So I went over and spoke with Kathy. Since they don't belong to anyone now, they did not get counted as a liability on the policy. And when I spoke with the attorney, since they were improperly accrued, that also makes it legal to delete them. So it's just kind of up to what you guys want to do with it. I took pieces from Webster's, from Olivet's, and from Clayton's shared leave policy and kind of created that one that you see in policy 2.3. I just don't know if we wanted to start off at 0, and then if someone needs hours, we solicit anonymously, of course, out to the other dispatchers. I mean, with 22 people, everyone's going to know that. It's just nobody, So that was my main question.
Well, as a follow-up then, if the 1,600 hours, we'll call it, aren't a liability currently, if you added 500 or 1,000 or even the full 1,600 to the sick bank all of a sudden, would they become a liability at that point?
According to Kathy, no.
Only when awarded.
Okay.
Only when awarded. So
Just want to make sure we're not carrying anything
Right.
if we were to do that. I mean, it's almost like you're making up hours then. You're putting them in the bank. It's just that they're not real from a liability standpoint. You can put whatever number of hours in there you want, and they don't become active until somebody uses it. I don't, yeah. I don't know what good it does you then to go ahead and add it to the bank now. Sounds like you could add time whenever you wanted if we decided to go that route.
Makes
Unless
sense?
I'm looking at it, unless I'm looking at that wrong.
No, you're looking at it exactly correct.
And
I mean,
I was just gonna say my preference then would just be to establish the bank, but not necessarily seed it with any of these hours. I think we just make these hours go away then.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So I think we maybe need either two motions or one motion that addresses both the adoption of the overall policy and then what we are doing with these 1,500 plus hours. Unless we have any more comments or discussion.
Okay, I can make a motion to adopt the leave policy. The rest of this is already adopted, correct? It's just the addition of this
Paragraph 8.
sick leave donation central bank as presented.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the policy. Any discussions about the policy itself? Okay, all those in favor to adopt the policy, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then is there a motion for what to do with the hours?
I move that we zero out the 1,591 hours. 0.24 hours. I'll include that.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to zero out the 1,591.24 hours. Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, the audit.
Went pretty smooth this year. Everybody has their hard copies there. There were no findings. I wasn't super involved. Kathy was more involved than I was, but they got everything they needed and completed it pretty quick.
That's great. Good job.
No,
Yeah.
no negative comments.
Okay, do we need a motion to accept the audit?
Accepted file.
Okay. There's a motion to accept the audit. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions about the audit? Can we get David a copy of the audit?
Yes, I'll get your copies today.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right,
Who's the second?
Amber seconded it. Anything else about the audit? All right, all those in favor of accepting the audit?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Aaliyah.
So this is our third year of accreditation. Paul, the first two were with, no, actually the first with Paul last year, this year, which was me. They looked at 76 compliant areas and conducted 4 interviews. We were deemed compliant in 75. The one and fell short in one of the compliance area dealt with hiring and making all applicants aware of the process. And since everybody doesn't give an interview, there was really nothing in the job description that said, here's what the process looks like. I wrote a paragraph, me and Christine got together. It's in the applicant program. So anybody that applies, if they read the application, so now we're compliant. And our reaccreditation is done. FY27 is the mandatory where we go to the meeting.
And which CALIA conference is that going to be at?
I think it's in Bonita Springs, Florida.
But they hold multiple ones, so is that like in April? Is it in the fall? Is it? And if you don't know, that's
I
fine.
think it's April of 27. The fall one hasn't been picked yet, so
And we're supposed to pay for our management column.
Any other questions about Kalia? Okay, fire station alerting.
Fire station alerting on 2810, we sat down with our AT&T reps about recent price adjustments. All 10 meg and 20 meg lines, Richmond Heights is the only one that's 20 meg line, but all 10 and 20 meg lines are actually dropping in price. The problem, well, it's not really a problem, it's just it is what it is. There are 3 that have the 2 meg line, our DR site, Clayton, and one of the stations was. The 2s are automatically going to be converted to 10s, but the price on the 2s goes up. If you have the 10 and we're paying the 10 meg price, it goes down, but now they've made the 2 and the 10 the same price.
Have they just dropped the option?
It dropped the overall.
No, I mean, have they dropped you the option to have 2 meg?
You can still get it.
You can still get it, it's just the same price.
Oh,
as
it
the 10.
costs 10 is the 10, so why would you?
We have not signed a contract on this. These prices are based on a 3-year contract. We have not signed it. I wanted to bring it to y'all first, just to get your thoughts on it.
Do you remember what the pricing is?
I can send it. It was in a spreadsheet that was on 3 pages. It was kind of messy, but I will send, as soon as it's over, I'll send the price change out there.
Do you have a recommendation?
I say we go with it because it's literally, it's going to drop the overall price by $1,000. So.
So our next meeting is in March. Would you have something on the agenda for us to approve the 3-year contract?
Yes, I will bring the pricing and everything. Then the only thing I was waiting on this time was to actually get the contract. And I had asked our rep if someone that had a 2 meg line didn't like going to the 10 and didn't want to pay the 10 pricing, if there's anything they could do about it, we signed it. So, because the 2 and the 10 are the same price now, at $375 a month. They were like $436. But the 2 was $308. So it's going up about $70 the 2, the 10 and the 20 are coming down. I think yours came down like almost $200 so for the 20.
Is this the only vendor that we can use for?
It's not.
Stationary?
There are others like Spectrum. I know Jennifer and I talked about the Spectrum bill is better than the AT&T bill, but Spectrum goes out a lot,
Yeah.
and this is a dedicated line.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I would have no problem looking at Verizon or T-Mobile if that makes sense, but is this a special line? Or
It's a dedicated fiber line. Spectrum is trying to get out of emergency services. Our 911 system and the radio system used to be Spectrum, and they had done everything in their power to get out of it. And they've switched to AT&T and another company that's a backup for them that essentially runs through like the Spectrum and AT&T lines, but Spectrum doesn't want to have anything to do with constant emergency.
If we change providers, do they then have to come in and like re-drill?
they would have to replace the lines, I think.
End up with another box back there, all that.
They wouldn't be able to use the same conduit as the AT&T is using now.
Possibly, if there's enough room, there should be.
I guess it doesn't hurt to look and just ask the question.
I'm only asking since we're looking at,
Okay.
we're looking at new providers for our cell plan. City. Yeah, it's different service, but that was just on that.
So you can take a look and then when you when you bring it back next month?
I thought Spectrum and AT&T were the only ones that actually provide the fiber. I thought the others were really just a third party rented fiber. So it's not, I don't know that it's apples to apples. But you can look into it.
This next topic came up because, so St. Louis County redid their pricing for police.
Just
They're much more expensive now, which is good. We had 2 police departments call us, no commitment, but just, hey, how much would it be for you to do this? But their fire departments are, like, there was Central County, they're super giant, they're fire protection districts. And so they're going to stay where they are. So the question then becomes, since we know after my search, it's not in bylaws, it's not in the user agreements, that we have to take both. Do we want to codify something in writing that says we can take one or the other?
I went back and read our stuff, and I guess I see it sort of as the opposite of, it's not that it doesn't say that you can't, it's that nothing in there envisions an entity not being both. So the pricing and the calls for service and the way we structure this board, it's all based on everyone has an equal part of the center. And so I just think that if we're going to do that, I think we almost have to look at how the whole thing is structured and say, okay, so now does your vote change? Because why is someone with only one of the agencies, why are they getting an equal vote to Richmond Heights and blah, blah, so I think it's about the way it's structured. It's just sort of assume that there's an equal play.
Totally concur. We were discussing this earlier because it would affect voting if we're voting on a fire department matter. They wouldn't get a vote.
Do we
But
have
it's
to
still
add
going
them
to
to the
affect
board?
pricing.
I mean, do we have to add them to the board? Can we operate somewhat like, I understand Central County, which is they have a board, but if you don't have both a police and a fire, you would be sort of a client.
Yeah,
And yeah, we'd have to readjust our
that's the thing.
or bylaws.
Because they have about 30 agencies that are board of 5.
What was that last part?
The board of 5.
Wonderful.
Is this something we maybe want to ask Mission Critical when they're talking about pricing assessments? If we're, how would we do pricing with an entity that only has one service? Would they use the same?
It's definitely worth asking because their calls for service would obviously be lower.
Right.
Without fire and EMS. I just kind of wanted to throw it out there so we could, nothing committal, anything right now, just kind of get the wheels turning on that.
The time frame are they looking at?
They were, I think they were just testing the waters. They weren't specifically saying anything about it. What is, do you know what St. Louis County's fiscal year is?
And it goes
January.
by their contract dates.
Well, I guess the first question for us is, do we even want to entertain the question?
I'd like to see that membership subcommittee that we have or committee meet and talk about these sorts of things. I think the other opportunity that's out there that we probably need to look at or at least talk about is, Kirkwood's in a spot where I think if we're ever going to have a conversation about them and finding some way to possibly functionally merge or even maybe take over their dispatch services, that we have that conversation. We're on the same system, they've got consoles there, so they've got that capacity that we currently don't have. And I think there's an opportunity there. If the committee wanted to discuss that, to maybe look at expanding ourselves that way, but at the same time, having these conversations about what we do with a split city or whatever we might want to take on in the future. But I think now's kind of an opportunity to have those conversations again. That committee, I don't think's met in probably a year now.
Yeah, the committee is now me and Amber. So
Yeah.
we'd be happy to have a third person. or at least, you know, I know, David, you had those conversations with Russ, you know, to at least enlighten
Yeah,
the subcommittee, you know.
sure. I'd be happy to just sit down with the subcommittee or be on the subcommittee. You know, I think they're in a different place now than they were when I was talking with Russ about this previously. And so I think they, you know, now's the time, I think, if we're going to have that conversation to start it. But
What would
I'm
be
happy
the,
to, I'm happy to sit down with the subcommittee or join it.
what would be the added cost to have them to look at that? The consultants, so that we know what the cost would be, what the structure would be, and whether that could guide the decision making or the recommendation.
I would send something to
committee?
Jamie, the project manager, and just see what
Just
he
curious.
says. I don't think it's necessarily a lot of work. It would just kind of be, you know, what are your thoughts on this and how there has to be other agencies out there that have gone through this similar. So how did they do it? You know, stuff like that. So.
And I do think, when speaking to these other police departments, they, one department went from like 40 grand to 140. I mean, it's
That's the cost.
Probably more of a real cost.
increase for police only.
It's not that they didn't go up, it's that they haven't been paying the real price.
Correct. And with county doing this, I'm gonna throw names out. There's a good chance the savings that Shrewsbury thought they had are non-existent now, or we might actually be the, you know, the cheaper choice. Same with Rock Hill, but it's all gonna depend. They're locked into a contract. If that ends next year, the year after, or whatever, we're probably gonna see more of this. And then something else to consider right now, the way the bylaws are written, if Brentwood wants to leave, they gotta tell us by April 1. And we're all getting closer in the prices to where if county comes down 20 grand, it might look more interesting to you. You go to them, and then next year you come back to where maybe we do a longer contract thing with any central, just otherwise every April is gonna be a sweat box.
The savings that you used to get with the county, we know that Central is much higher, but the savings that used to offset that higher price are gone.
What's our capacity?
Is our staffing study that they've done based on call volume?
We were at 8. I mean, we can, if we unfroze those 2 positions, just as an example, Shrewsbury or someone their size or Rock Hill could both come back and we'd be all right. If we start adding in agencies above and beyond that, we're gonna be pushing it.
Then what David was saying becomes much more critical as far as, because with them, we'll actually, I don't know how the geography of the work out since we're both.
Yeah, can we have the 2 location operation?
100%.
The technology's there to do it. It'd be a little wonky at first, but
And I think we could take on Shrewsbury and Rock Hill with the people that we have now. Especially when I talk to you about this AI technology and the APCO and telecom. So I know, David, you had asked me at the last meeting, you wanted to see what the numbers look like. So what I did was I did 2 different.
Wait. So anything else about police and fire other than we'll get the subcommittee meeting again? Okay, anything else?
I think we focus our efforts on the agencies that have both, although if we don't drop the issue. But I think there's plenty of opportunity for those that have both.
Okay.
It's already notified. It's just.
Take it away.
You can share it so David can see it too. Minimize. Now go to the little arrow. Right there to your left, arrow with a box around it. Nope, right. Share screen. Now choose, go to the window up top. And choose, you should be seeing it. Go to Chrome.
Go to the entire screen.
You're not supposed to need to.
Yeah, but it's gonna be minimized. Share.
Share it, but don't, I mean,
Yep,
open it up. Okay,
share. Now pull it up. You see it, David?
I see it now. Yeah, thank you.
okay. So,
Sorry, I couldn't get there in person. I had a meeting that butted up against this, so.
like, I did 2 iterations. I didn't want to ask for the moon and everything all at the same time. So what I did, can you go to personnel cost, the first tab at the bottom? This one, and scroll down. Okay, if you see the 2 positions in white that are not filled, I put the actual dollar figures back in there. And then, of course, benefits and everything else. And so when you go to budget versus actuals and scroll all the way down, Kurt. First tab that we were on, not that one, not that one, that's a different iteration.
Oh.
Now scroll all the way down. So with just the raises, right there is good. So with just the annual raises and with those 2 people, we have a 9.95% increase in the budget. If you want to go to member city costs, you can kind of see how that breaks down. The percentages are over on the right of the increase, adding those 2 people. However, go to budget versus actuals 2, please. This one, if you scroll down to section 2, section 2, where the technology stuff is. Okay. If you look on, there's 2 line items there. There's one called APTO and Telecom and one called AI call triage. The APCO and Telecom, out of everything, if you held my hand to the fire and said, out of everything that you're asking for, what's the most important? This is our number 1 wish. Now, APCO and Telecom, the reason that one's more expensive than the call triage, and Paul got a quote from Regis a couple of years ago. I've talked with Brian Haley. It's not too much more, but because APCO and Telecom, it gets rid of the cards and it puts the EMV stuff up on the screen. Improves accuracy, improves speed, improves training, but it also has to go through Regis. And so Regis wants their piece of the pie as well. So while talking to Paul, it's about a $10,000 per station system. The initial upfront cost of Regis wants is over $20,000 to hook it up to the CAD. And then the maintenance costs like $3,500 to $4,000 every year. So we go down, but I think this, out of everything, this is an incredibly important piece. The second one is the call triage, and this is the company that we've been dealing with lately is Prepared AI. The reason we've been talking to them is because of those other solutions that I mentioned, and they're a little cheaper than Aurelian. And these guys have really gone above and beyond in showing us whatever we wanted and things like that. So I put both of them on there. Now, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see this increases the budget by 10.09%. So
This does not have the
9.95.
other 2.
Ma'am?
This does not have the other 2
This
positions.
does not. This has those 2 positions still frozen. And if Kurt and I had a serious talk about this, if it came down to 2 people that we could either put on night shift or we could put on power shift, or keep those positions frozen and go with the technology. The technology is going to be there 24 hours a day. Yeah, it's going to be doing things like answering non-emergency line, helping take those clerical duties away And the telecom is just going to make their job so much better. You know, that was one of the things that we heard, especially when I got here, out of a lot of the chiefs, was we didn't think the people were using EMG correction. And this would make it it would make it so much easier. I'd say increased accuracy, increased speed, and so on and so forth. So the only thing that I wanted to get out of the group today is which direction you want me to keep going in. I know it's not time to vote. I know it's not time to go through item by item, but what do you think?
Could you scroll to the top?
So this is not a finalized budget.
This is not. I haven't gotten new numbers from Richmond Heights. I haven't gotten new healthcare numbers. There's a lot of things. This is just early version.
Okay, so the member city costs are still in fluctuation.
That's exactly what they would be at this for this particular increase. So I've reconciled the entire budget. I've gone through, we did audit on 25. I've gone through all of 26 up until now to show how much we've spent. And then the numbers, these are all of the 2024 and 2025 calls for service divvied up 6 ways. So those numbers are close.
Okay.
There will be some modification, but.
So you're asking us our preference of technology versus personnel.
And you were showing a 9%, 9.5% increase.
9.95% with the bodies,
Mhm.
10.09 with the technology. So it's really close to each other. I didn't want to ask for both because, and I say this tongue in cheek, because I think with this technology, we're fine at 22. I think that adding another person on night shouldn't be a waste of resources.
You're providing 2 options that you recommend. You have a preference?
The technology by far.
Well, shouldn't we do the technology before we add? I mean, you can't add people and then add the technology. I mean, you can because you have people coming and going. But if you don't have people going, then you have to lay off. So should we add the technology first?
Yes, ma'am.
It's gonna be, you're gonna have a busy year of implementing because it's never easy. So.
Correct. It will be, in the beginning, it will be a little painful, but the result that we're going to get on the backside is.
So does it make more sense to, taking into consideration Amy's comment about implementation, right? Would it make more sense to budget for one, and I'll say the APCO and telecom, at 100%, because with the idea that we would want to start implementation at the very beginning of the fiscal year, right? But then that's going to take potentially several months. And then we do span the next one over the next 2 fiscal years. I don't know if that makes sense in how implementation starts, but then you're only paying for a portion of the second one. I mean,
if we want to make this like a capital plan where we do one and then do the other and then look at it, as we're going down the line, what makes sense next. Like I say, I think with 22 bodies, 6 on each day shift, 5 on each night shift, we're fine with the technology. But it's expensive.
But to Jennifer's point, implementing both at the same time might stretch your capacity. So do you budget for one full year with one, and then for 6 months, say, is 6 months enough time to get up and running with APCO before you start to tackle the AI?
Implementing two would be tough. The only reason I was thinking we would pull it off is because the entire prepared team would be out here to implement the AI stuff. I don't know what all, unless you have an idea, because I know you and Paul talked about it, what all is entailed in the telecom.
There'd be some initial training by APCO personnel. And then some ongoing training before we go live, just to make sure everybody's comfortable with it. And then we flip the switch and start using it.
But it's gotta go through Regis also. Like, does Regis have to do, does it live on CAD? That's my ultimate question.
It does. The nice thing is APCO and telecom is already built into the system. So it's not a heavy lift to
Is it like a module or is that too simple?
essentially. So I mean, they have to do stuff on the server to get it there, but it's already written. It's ready to go essentially.
So Regis doesn't have to write
No.
code to get this to interface
It's just
with
hooking
CAD.
up.
Right, it's already built. It's just they would have to load it onto the server. And there's all kinds of little nuances,
Sure.
point here, point here.
So then my other question is, with this being a shared CAD, does this module only stay within ECDC and the other
Yes,
entities on shared CAD cannot piggyback off of our
correct.
service?
Yeah, Kirkwood right now uses the other one called ProQA, and we have no way of accessing ProQA.
The other thing to just consider, I just want to throw all this information out there, is the prepared AI people, after we've had some meetings with them, would start helping us set up now with the expectation that we're not paying attention. So we could spread it out if we went with both of them. If we want to do one and then do the other, that may be a good answer to it.
And what's the year two cost and how long are those contracts? Are we locking into those contracts for 2 or 3 years on that same, was it 96 and 70,000?
It'll be 3.
Did you
Now,
say
Regis,
it was 20,000 for the upfront?
that was the 2023 quote was 20,000 plus the upfront first year cost, which was another 5. And then of course, what you're paying to APCO. So that's why I put that number up there that I did in 93. And then Regis has like $3,500 to $4,000 of maintenance costs there. But they wrote it up for a 7-year thing. But
On top of the 93 or year two, that comes down to 80.
in year 2, once we have the initial setup done and we're just paying maintenance costs, that comes down to probably for the Intellicom, probably about 65, and that includes the maintenance costs, because we would have 6 stations.
Hey, Brad,
Sure.
Be lower than that.
is there any information forthcoming from mission critical partners that would help inform this decision?
No, sir, all the reports are done. It's
Okay.
been delivered, but I don't. They did an AI assessment for us. I didn't really want, like, answering a lot of those questions that a lot of you might have, and we worked with prepared to actually answer some of those questions on the assessment. I wanted to present that during the actual AI assessment. We just haven't set that up yet. But that will help if that's kind of what you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, I know they looked at AI and they looked at staffing, and I didn't know through that work they had performed whether or not we can figure out the preference or the best way to implement this.
Yes. So, I mean, we'll talk with them within the next couple of weeks.
From their
Have you-
assessment, is there any other work that needs to be done to get us AI ready?
Most everything that is going to happen during that implementation. We don't have policies because we don't have AI. We don't have the training because we don't know what system we're going with. So most of it will all be front. But there will be training involved in both of these.
So from a change management perspective, overlapping these, what is the impact on your dispatchers? Because the AI, although that is an outward facing service, it affects the work that they're doing internally too. So are there concerns about implementation simultaneously from just an operational change management perspective?
I mean, if they could, it's logical that it could, because it's a lot to do two systems. I mean, you think about what, and I wasn't here, but you think about what Kurt and Paul went through when they were bringing the cabin on. It's a lot. And without an IT staff or anything like that, we're doing it all. Plus the training.
So then does it make sense to do the AI call triage first and then APCO?
Kurt?
I think if prepared holds true and we get it set up, we'll be in that AI system before we would ever bring on in telecom. Best case scenario would be AI set up that pulls some of the workload off of the dispatchers before we do in telecom, which will then help them have time to learn that system a little better without the goofy calls, the non-emergency.
Well, and it's a good point, because I think a lot of the times when the dispatcher gets an address wrong because they either didn't verify it or they just started going too fast, a lot of it is just distractions. We're so task saturated, and it's easy to hear 829 and put in 892. And then FD is going to the wrong address, or you didn't get an apartment number or whatever. So I think because they're always ready for the next phone call. So I think starting either one of them first is going to be huge, but it's going to be very, very helpful. So.
It does seem like we need to get the AI going so that we can lift the capacity off the dispatch.
Yeah, I would agree. I would almost want to do the AI. So it sounds to me like as a board, we're focused or desiring to see a budget with the technology in it.
Yeah.
So that's the answer, I think, to your first question.
Okay. Perfect.
And then I think I would agree with Amy that it may make more sense to get the AI correct and up and running, and the reality of, maybe we just do it for a year. Not that we just that's what we do next year, and then implement in telecom the next year and see if it's, is it needed? If maybe it's not.
Well, again, we could, and I'm not saying I know what the fund balance is. We always talk about the fund balance, but we can take the initial cost and the capital cost. We could also not have it in the operating budget and just pay for it out of the $500,000 to $600,000 that we have sitting there.
Yeah, but we don't anymore. According to the
400,000.
it's 178.
Now that's different. That has the liabilities that are paid.
Yeah.
Paid.
Yeah. Auditors count really weird.
It has all of the time in it. So, but it might be 400,000 or it might be $397,000. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
and obviously when we get to the budget conversation, we'll be having this serious conversation.
I think.
There's an upfront cost.
Yeah.
We could treat that as a capital cost. And then the ongoing contract and maintenance is not capital.
And taking out the telecom is going to definitely lessen the sticker shock on this. So
I think what we're telling you is maybe we need more information about, how long would it really take to get one or both of those implemented, staff trained, and, comfortable using it. Contracts 3, 5, 7-year contracts? What's the ongoing cost after year 1?
Now, here's the big question.
Yeah.
It would be exponentially easier if I sole sourced it, if I just went with the company that I get. But there's about 10 companies that are doing this now. So I do have a letter from Repair that shows the things that they do that others do not. But I know, and I told them, I don't know what, if you guys want the RFP or not. Do you want to go through that?
Are they part of a co-op such as Sourcewell or Tips Taps that's already been pre-bid?
I know they just got bought out by Axon.
Ask them if they're part of cooperative purchasing agreement. And if they are not, can they join one? But I personally am not willing to set aside our procurement rules just for one vendor.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times technology, it's very difficult to, but you have to somehow prove that you vetted because, you know, they're all trying to sell you their product. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I don't know exactly how the policy reads, but I mean, it's very hard with these packages. That they're not asking for a dump truck and they all come with the same thing. They're all different.
Correct.
So there's gonna have to be some sort of work done.
And Mission Critical, ask them if they happen to have a sample RFP for
They-
AI.
Well, one of the things that they sent me, and this was not an RFP, but this was actually another proposal, is they will do, I haven't asked the pricing yet, but they will do all of the AI. Find the system that works for you, exactly what your needs are, all the paperwork, everything. But obviously that's going to come with the price.
And that still gets around the RFP.
No, they would actually, well,
Would they do the RFP process for us or would they consult on it?
I think what they're doing is they're since they've already examined us with a fine tooth comb, it'll be more like, okay, tell us what you want, tell us, you know, and they will marry us up with the best AI provider. But that does have that thing going out saying, hey,
Right.
here's what we want. If you're interested in submitting a proposal, do so.
Right, but would they operate as, say, a technical advisor? So we do an RFP and then they review them in conjunction with you and Kurt, and they would be able to say, you know what, vendor A is not going to give you the 3 things that you're looking for. Vendor B is set up better, you know.
And I've told all of these guys that aside from the technology piece, one of my biggest things is customer service. Because we have some vendors we can reach in 5 minutes, and we have some that we can't reach in 5 days. So, you know, we've been asking one vendor to do something. The fire department's been asking us for a year. It's still not done. And we don't have the technology to do ourselves. So that's one of the biggest things.
What's the vendor you were looking for the call tree? For the AI?
What's
What's the vendor name you were looking for it?
So there's Prepared, there's Aurelian, there's AWS, Blue Century, Right Digital.
There's not one that you like. That's already.
The Prepared is the one that I think is going to give us the most bang for the buck. So.
Okay. Do you have enough direction from us? Any other questions or comments about this topic? Okay. Public comment?
I have them.
Okay.
All right.
Is anybody else on the call? There were a couple of people on the call.
That was some of the Prepared people that said they just wanted to watch it. But I told them not to say anything.
Okay. Future board meeting dates are March 18th and April 15th. March 18th, is that spring break? Do we need a new March date?
I'll be out of town.
David?
I'm okay. I'm
The
around.
Wed- the Wednesday after, right?
I mean, if David's here, I'm here. I'm here. Amy's here. Okay, let's leave it.
Do we want either one of these to be virtual?
Not you have it now. Yeah, it's fine. I was thinking next day.
Right. When you leave on your vacation, I just saw the April date.
The 18th.
Okay.
Yes.
So either date could be virtual.
Okay. I think we'll be closer to signing. We signed in April last year. I think we'll be closer. We can go through it line by line. We're all virtual. So we can discuss it in person on the 15th and then do it virtual on the in April.
Okay.
I mean, on the 18th of March.
All right. Any need for a closed session? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Second. All right. We're adjourned at 3:57.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Stop recording, please.
So if we're gonna be virtual, you're gonna send out